industries are run like a person's personal business. So it's not like it's a free-for-all type of money for everybody to just, oh yeah, that's what they say, just take it, and then whatever even gets the government, we hardly see. You understand? So basically what we're trying to do is for the various stakeholders from government, private sector, civil society, all of these people to come and discuss what the problems are and the solutions as well. And then this year is policy. Last year was managing your value chain that we had the seminar around. This year it's policy, affirmative action, and sustained growth. Yeah. Okay. So basically that's what it is.
Is this focused on every single sector, or what are you zeroing in on?
Well, I would say we're zeroing on on oil and gas, but of course we can't leave out mining and of course other viable sectors within the industry, basically. Yeah.
Well, is this not a very pretty cheap job for anybody to go into? So why is that your focus? I mean, even if you're going to mine for coal or whatever it is, even when you don't have proper equipment, it's going to take you a lot of man hours and funds. Why is that your focus? Something that's supposedly not capitally friendly?
Well, that's our focus because it can be capital friendly. It can be done better. We can actually, right now we're saying that it's responsible for over 80% of our revenue. You can actually achieve more. You can actually get more out of it. So it's not being done properly, even though it's been done. And it's also, like I said, it's very critical to the Nigerian economy. So the fact that we're dependent on this oil and it would not last forever means that we have to make the most of it. So it's critical. It needs to be discussed. It's caused conflict. Where are you from? What state are you from?
Anambra State.
Anambra State. Okay, so you're not from one of the oil-producing states. If you were,
we are.
I'm from a state.
We're fighting with Kogi State now for one small well we found.
So you see how you're fighting for it. Do you see how critical it is? And we found that people don't actually discuss it. People who just manage to enter as a result of maybe godfathers, or they were just seeded one oil well somewhere, just go into it and just make money and just get out, or just there's really no proper governance around that area. And as an organization, that's something that we drive, advocacy for good governance across sectors. And so we've decided, as has everybody, that this sector is critical, so it needs to be addressed.
What are some of the things that you want addressed?
Well, as we've said already, policy implementation is the very first thing. Last year, we spoke about managing your value chain. We thought, oh, look, when we started this with the Deputy High Commissioner of Canada last year, we had said it was imperative to look at your stakeholders, your supply chain. How do you handle your communities within your operational areas? And then when we had the seminar last year, we had a post-event report. And then judging from what we discovered, it was like, oh, okay, look, we have to, besides talking about stakeholders and people that you work with, or interact with, why don't we ensure that these policies that have been drafted are effectively implemented? So we said, okay, look, this year, let's look at these areas, and that's what we hope to address.
Another thing is transparency and accountability in this area. We had a press conference on Thursday, and we found out that this is what the players in the oil and gas sector have said is a problem, so we as an organization have always driven something called sustainability reporting. Now, sustainability reporting is a way that an organization, whether it be public, private, civil society, can open themselves up to scrutiny, right? So we have to promote this sort of accountability to reduce the amount of fighting and everything, because the communities as well have said, we're not happy with the way that the profit from our land is being shared. So how about there's some sort of open dialogue for us to discuss the way that it's beneficial to us, which is why last year the Deputy High Commissioner of Canada was critical to this, because Canada is a diverse nation with a diversity of resources as well, and they've managed to arrive at some equilibrium amongst all parties. That's what we're driving for our own. We've been trying to get the government representatives from the oil and gas sector in particular to attend, but you find that these people think that we're there to serve them rather than them being public servants, so it's hard to, if you don't know somebody, then they're like, I don't really want to be drilled. They don't really want to answer questions. So this is a huge problem in Nigeria as a whole, you would agree. Now imagine that in a sector where there's so much money flying around and nobody wants to answer any questions, then obviously there's a problem.
We're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we're going to talk more about CSR and how you reconcile that with, fighting for all of this sort of sector that might endanger the polity and the climate and all of that. We'll be right back after this.
At first, it's only anticipation that something is about to happen. This is one thing that makes life interesting. To compete not only with players across the field, but across the world. It makes me feel joy when we win and sorrow when we lose. The action and reaction, colliding, falling, dropping, despite the odds. I love it because it brings me tears. Tears of victory, tears of joy. The skill that leads to the pass that leads to the shot that leads to the goal that determines the ultimate. Channel Sports, defining the moment of true sport.
Fun, inspiration, and knowledge. That's what you get from readers, writers, publishers, and the entire book world. Get some interesting reviews, events, interviews, and latest updates from the book world. The Channel's Book Club, inspiring you one page at a time.
Welcome back. I'm still here with Bekeme and Chiweta from CSR in Action. And CSR, I assume, stands for Corporate Social Responsibility. Yes. And you are holding a seminar or whatever it is to attract people or to at least talk about the extractive sector. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people you have a lot of these activists around the world who are up against, mining and exploring of oil because the damage it does to the intermediate and even external societies in whole is usually too bad and a little too heavy for sometimes for the communities to handle. How do you reconcile that?
Let me start.
What do you want to reconcile exactly? What, the fact that people are complaining?
The fact that you're going to, while advocating for extraction or whatever it is of all of this, mm-hmm. the communities get damaged, mm-hmm. but you're also a CSR mm-hmm. company.
Well, the thing is, that's what we're trying to drive. I'll use an example of the World Bank. Now, the World Bank is known to provide facility to oil and gas companies, right? However, as a prerequisite to them granting you any fund, you're required to meet certain criteria. And this would mean that you would have to negate all negative impacts on the environment that you're working on, and where avoidable, minimize impact. And then when you have minimized the impact, you also have to do something take remedial measures to make sure that there are no long-term effects, right? However, in the case of Nigeria, there's no enforcement of this sort of thing. So you see an international organization making local companies behave right, yet the government of the people is not really doing anything about making sure that, there are certain checklists that they have to do, but nobody really checks to see whether they're actually being confirmed to. Look at the case of the smog in China. Do we really want that to happen in Nigeria? Shouldn't we be learning from what has happened to people? They say, America it took them 100 years. It took them 100 years doesn't mean it should take us another 150 years. We should have learned from their mistakes. Yeah. So basically, this is what we're saying. If you do things the right way, whether you're government, whether you're private sector, whoever you are, if you do things the right way, then you would not have all of this conflict. A sensible company would behave the way that it would behave in a properly regulated country like Denmark, for instance. It would behave that way in Nigeria, whether the Nigerian government is driving them to do it, because at the end of the day, it's beneficial to the organization. That's what they need to start thinking about.
And also sometimes, it goes without saying, you may actually cause damage, to the environment mm-hmm. While operation is going on. But then how you go about, say, compensating these communities you work in or work with, it's something that you have to think about as well. If you just go damage and leave without compensating, or if you displace these people within these communities, then that's when you're unsustainable, basically. Yeah.
Let's even talk CSR now. Let's develop this and talk CSR in Nigeria. I'm happy that you're laughing. How bad is it here? With how badly are companies behaved in Nigeria?
I don't know. I think you should rephrase the question. I don't think it's how bad companies are behaving. I think it's how well they're getting there. Are they on their way there, basically? And then this is where we say, yeah, maybe